yesterday, and what a marvelous few days that we have ahead. As a matter of fact, as far as I could look ahead on my little weather vein, it looks to be pretty spectacular for the next couple of weeks as far as temperature is concerned. So I'm going to make a prediction here that the worst is definitely behind us, and things are going to warm up. Spring is going to set. I mean, I heard the peepers out a couple of weeks ago, as we talked about, but even I can hear them now. So the peepers are out, and I haven't seen them here, but Karen and I took a little trip the last couple of days, and we went to Branson, and I seen the buzzards flying around in Branson, and that is a sure sign that spring is back, because they don't get things wrong too often. Sometimes they get froze back just a little bit, but they're there, and I'm sure they're headed our way, if not here already. So those are good indications that winter is behind us, and spring is coming. And if you really look at the grass just a little bit, you can almost see it turning in that. And Grace couldn't be happier. Grass, ready. And yeah, it is time. And actually, we're getting our lawnmower ready. We're getting the lawnmower ready and getting it serviced. So, and they're pruning grapes today. We've got a guy coming in with a machine that helps us prune it. There's still a lot of handwork has to be done, but it's a little machine with cutters on three sides of it, and he kind of makes a little box. So cuts a lot of the big corridors off, and then all you got to do, Grace, is go through there now and clip those, and finish up the handwork and do all the corridor work. So it's going to be a lot easier for you. It's going to be just so easy for you, So that's all good. But hey, we're looking forward to another year. Hopefully we won't get set back on the grape crop as we did last year with the late snow that we had and the freezing of that. So looking forward to an abundant year. And it's calving season, Grace, and we've peppers are about done. I think there's only 4 or 5 left. So, they're about done, and that's all good news, So, sure signs of spring, and it's good for you to be along with us here on KTUI 1560 AM, 94.1 FM, or possibly you're watching live on Facebook. The other sure sign of spring is that Fest is here. And so we have our pastor along today. We're going to talk about the Lent season, but we're also going to dive a little deeper into the global situation and where we are today in regard to the war that is happening in Ukraine. And we're going to take a little dive into that and talk a little bit more, and I don't know a whole lot about it, but that's what I'm going to have one of our pastors here, because he's much more of a global traveler than I gotta say, in a small circle here with Dan's been abroad and studying abroad, and kind of probably has read a lot more and has more global knowledge than I. But Van, good to have you.
That may be a stretch, Charlie. I'm in no sense an expert on any of that.
Well, we shall see by the end of the show, right? Yeah. I think we will see. But it is a time, man, that at least we can talk about our experience and our fears of political situation, and maybe that will have some of our listeners recall what the world has been like that are in our realm and even older, to know that we don't like it. This is part of the world, and it always has been. And you know what? It always will be until this back. Christ comes back to reign, and we don't know when that will be. But anyway, it needs to be talked about. It needs to be discussed, because Jesse and I were talking the other day. You don't remember, what I'm saying, being scared of nuclear bombs as we were when we were in second and third grade doing, basically drills.
The world was going to end in nuclear conflagration any moment.
Exactly. The Cuban Missile Crisis and what it was. I mean, I'm not exactly sure what getting under our desk was.
Well, those deaths are pretty substantial, Charlie.
Probably isn't going to buy the help as much as the mask.
Yes.
And I don't really want to go there.
Yeah,
because I know that it has helped some people. But whatever. Let's not. So, anyway. Let's zero back in on Russia, because we are all products of what our history has been. We are all products of what we grew up with. We're all products of, our forefathers before us. Our fathers were a heck of a lot different than the Lombards and the Schlatter forefathers, because they grew up in a totally different world and under a totally different set of circumstances. That has always been war, that always has been dictatorship, and there's always been one group battling it out and trying to throw out, anyone that tried to make things different or better. If you look at the czars in Russia, had total control on every element of it. People like Ivan the Terrible, people like Sullivan, that were brutal murders that absolutely had total control. And those are Putin's forefathers. What else could he know? What else would he know? How else could he be? Because he's still a product of that. And see today what's playing out for us, what he's really like, and he's very pessimistic.
There. Charlie, what we see and what we believe shapes us. And we have been blessed in this nation to be shaped largely by God's Word. The understanding that there is a God that we answer to, and that God is good, and He requires us to do what's good. We don't live that perfectly, and we've got things that are in our past, in our history, that are not right, and we've worked down through the decades to kind of sort some of those out and make some progress in that. But it all comes down to why do we work towards justice and righteousness, peace, goodness? Because God requires that. We ask that. Those who went before us, our dad, and grand and great grand, they live with that understanding. Now, the USSR shaped the communist is there is no God. So it's a different way of setting priorities in what he wants to do, what kind of fit. And there's no God, so you're free to do things according to how you want.
And since there is no God, the one that is in control believes that he is God, and everybody, since he has the control over virtually everything in a man's life, then he becomes,
And whatever is best for me, and whatever my win is or my want is the way that I'm going to do it, regardless of the cost to anyone else.
there is no democracy there. There is no discussion of freedom. There is, I fear that the people that are standing against Putin right now, in the lockdown, will be reprimanded, on their, even demonstrating, what I'm saying.
Reprimand maybe maybe too slight a word for what will happen. Yeah, I mean, it will be crushing. And the kind of power that you see, and the kind of disregard of life that you see in terms of the civilians that are targeted in Ukraine, and the war is always hell, but when you take away all respect for what we call innocent, those who are just in harm's way, and war will always devastate that population, but it can be worse if you target that population to try and frighten out the country for the meaning that if you have no respect for life, everything is fair. Everything can be done to subjugate the country and make that country do those people live according to your own will.
Yeah, and if you just look at what Mark in regard to his overtaking or wanting to overtake mania, I mean, he went right to the heart of where the people live. We never had a battlefield that, that we fought on, out of the countryside, or even to the fact where he took on military targets, in regard to, where their weaponry was, or where their ammunition was, or maybe where their fuel was, or, some of those particular things. He went right to the heart of the people, and he is driving himself to the heart of where people live, where kids are, where families are, to absolutely have control through fear.
Crush the spirit of the people. And regardless of, and one of the ways you do that is by making the innocent, holding them hostage.
That's the motivation of all dictators. You know what I'm saying? And all individuals that want total control of whatever it happens to be. There's the element of fear in them, so they can achieve purpose themselves. Basically is what it is. And it's not even under whatever political realm you want to stand. In a dictatorship, an authoritarian kind of situation, they use whatever political vehicle that they can use to convince the people that bring them on their side. Hitler used, racial, situations because the Germans had, not a good affiliation with the Jews, and so on. But communism itself, communism's promise is that everybody's going to be treated equally, even though there is no freedom under that. Right. But we are going to disperse, the economic benefits, and everybody's going to have bread, and everybody's going to wear the same clothes, and everybody's going to have the same economic opportunities with no freedom. But you're going to have bread, and you're going to have a place to live, and we're going to take care of you, and you're going to be happy. And you are going to be happy with this, and it's all equal. But even the communistic messages, you know what I'm saying, that we hear in this country about America,
yeah.
The only reason that message is that they're trying to say we're going to be good, that we're going to be equal to everybody. Oh, equal to everybody, but a few of us on the top. A few of the elite, the oligarchs, in Russia, Putin himself, and a few other people. But this is just like all the kings and all the czars and all the dictators in the world have always been. There's only a very small core of people that control all the spoil, for all the people, and that's what communism is. That's what Reagan said. You know what I'm saying? What he did, and why it was such a big deal. And that means, and that's kind of where we are today, because, that hurt Putin, when the wall was torn down, and things were opened up, and people got freedom, to a big degree, the Berlin being able to go back and forth there and understand what the West was a little bit more about. And that's why you can't put the genie back, in the bottle, today, and that's why the people are standing up and fighting for what they know.
We had a desire that we would deep and ingrained all people. We're all made in the image of God, and there's a desire for freedom. And Jesus came to bring freedom from sin, freedom from having to pay the price, being separated from God for all eternity, freedom to have choice. And we value that freedom in the United States. We have valued it. And more of our population has less and less to do with the church and the teachings of the Bible. I think our freedom is more and more in jeopardy because there are different ideas about what life should be. And we said at the beginning, life is not going to be completely fair or just or right until Jesus returns and cleans things up. But the framers of our Constitution really did an incredible job of kind of balancing rights and responsibility and laying out a system of government that allows people to make choices, make decisions, and put people into leadership who will work for right, work for what is good. And down through our centuries, we have seen people, just and good men and women, do amazing things in terms of the leadership of our land. But we've also seen men and women who were focus, I think, is regardless of who have governed to their own, fulfilling their own desires, their own needs, and I think it's a difficult thing for me to life in a way that blesses themselves. And we're seeing a struggle in our nation right now, just in terms of is freedom, is more freedom going to be a part and more responsibility? And that's always a delicate balance. I mean, and we really do through 2 years of
No freedom.
hell, because there's a different understanding of what's my freedom, what's my responsibility. And look, that's a difficult thing. And it's very easy to say, well, I have no responsibility. But it's also easy to control people through fear and laying responsibilities on them if you don't really have justification for life. And how do you sort that out? And I've been in trouble a lot because we've been having a discussion over the last 2 years. You can't question things. And how do you get true? You can only say, nod your head and say yes to whoever is coming down from on high with the enough.
It is the control, you know, that and when the government has control. Our guaranteed right in the Bill of Rights is pursue, yes, to be able to have the right to pursue our happiness and pursue what we want to do. And every time you pull away from that shortcut, it is part of what America wasn't built upon. You know, that's problematic. You know, it's those principles, and they're all laid out right there in the book we brought. Mm-hmm. They're all laid out in the Bible, you know, in regard to our Constitution and the laws that we have today are pretty much Ten Commandments. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the regulations a lot more fuzzy. You know what I'm saying? But the principle there, not so much. Still, the feel. You know, all of those. You know.
Well, when Jesus reviewed it in a conversation with a teacher of the law, because, you know, what's most important, love God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. And that really is, and the Bible kind of lays out how to do that. But life is complicated. And something happens that's complicated, and you're going to have different ideas about how do I love my neighbor, and what do I do in a certain situation, and there's always an election.
Well, yeah, and you know, that's the principles that have governed us. Yes. The principles that shaped our life were principles that come through disciplined instruction. Yes. Through our church and through our community and through our family first. And our church and our community that adhere to a certain set of principles that controlled or had some input, not controlled, but had input on regard to how we act and react. When we get away from that, and we are getting away from those principles taught to our children, our grandchildren. We are headed in that direction.
The younger generation does not have the privilege of knowing the things that we
I don't know about you, Charlie, but I was brought to church, and I didn't always want to be there. I learned a lot. Sunday school. I learned a lot, even in sitting through the worship service in some church, and it shaped me. I understood that there was a God, and I didn't really know that God in a very personal way, but I knew kind of what the rules were, and I didn't question the rules because I believed in God. And then as I got older, I began to kind of, okay, what makes sense here? What do I really believe? But I had the foundation. And we're raising young people who know nothing of what is the Bible.
No.
They've never been to Sunday school. They've never really been to church in a meaningful way. They have no foundation. And so when they get to a certain age, how are they going to understand, why should I sacrifice? When Facebook is your guiding light. Well, in Facebook this week or last week.
And if you pick who you want to follow on Facebook or do whatever, I guess. I don't really know how that all works. But all the information you're going to receive there is not going to be 100% positive. And lead, and forget about you to some degree. Think about, and I've seen this within my own family, okay? I have not for an extended family, but I have seen in my life, extended family not be raised in a church or not be raised in a particular set of values. And the outcome is different, you know what I'm saying? And even though some of my extended family have been raised in a church situation, the outcome has been, different. But I can see that for a period of time that some of those are making changes now.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Good changes.
And some not.
And politically I may not agree with them, but I can see changes in them for somewhat of a little more understanding of life. So if Gracie just listens to us, Dan, if she just listens to us, we've experienced a lot of that. We can save her a lot of time, but, and a lot of heartbreak. But, I don't know.
Jesus came into the world that we might have life and have it. He came to set us free from the things that we were slavery. And that's not my creation or country. We've been blessed to grow up in the United States and we have freedom to say. Most of the world can't even imagine. We've had opportunities that most of the world can't even imagine. What a privilege and a blessing to be an American and to have the kind of foundation that we have. I mean, it's ongoing. There are a few places where you would rather be born. I can't think of any really. But at the same time, God brings freedom, contentment, peace, joy, where we're born. I mean, if you think of what is just going on in Afghanistan, it's ongoing. Terror and destruction. And yet in the midst of that, God is at work, and there are people who are coming to faith in Jesus Christ. There are people who are finding peace and wholeness, and everything around them is more. but within that, there's a wholeness and joy that goes far beyond everything is good in my
physical world.
in my physical world. God's kingdom does not depend on the United States making good decisions. Nothing that Vladimir Putin can do will upend the church. But the church has gone, the great church, all of those people who have placed their trust in Jesus Christ and are alive. He has no power over them. He might take away their breath, but they will say to God. And they don't need to live in fear. And that's a difficult thing. I mean, you look at the images that are coming out of Ukraine and you say, praying that they would have confidence in not in the rifle they're holding, but in God, who knows their name, is interested in their.
And absolutely prayer that there's going to have to be a Christian reckoning and a church outpouring of financial support. I think that gives it back. You know what I'm saying? There's 4 million refugees. Not sure what's going to be if they can ever go back or what the circumstances is. But they're going to need help. You know, they are going to need help from much more than our government. You know, they are going to need some help in prayer and in financial need in order to do everything we can to try to make them as whole as we possibly can. And I don't have the numbers to call at this juncture, but they're going to be out there, man, and we need to understand that and make some decisions and prepare ourselves for helping these refugees as much as we can. Let's go back, because last night was Ash Wednesday. And we went to the service and, you know, been thinking about, I've been thinking about, you know, Christ, and, you know, you last night, you know, said about what you did for us. Yeah. You know, and it was a great message, and what he did, you know, for us, what we give up, you know, for us, so that we could be redeemed. And when he started last night in regard to his walk in the desert, you know, for 40 days and 40 nights, you know, Jesus was both man and God in the total realm. You know, he understood what man understood. He feels. No, yeah, what man feels, or woman feels. Yeah. When he went into this desert, he was preparing himself for the price that he was going to pay for us. He bore those sins, you know. When he went in there, even though he was more man or more God, when he went into this and he spent the time,
it's a theological question, which is always fair.
The theological, my understanding is that God, right, is fully God and fully man. Well, he's altogether us, and he's altogether God. And it has to be in order to lead a life. There's no other person, male, female, in the history of the world who has been able to negotiate and lead a life the way it ought to be lived. He had no sin in it. And that's what he brought to the cross, perfect life. And that scripture that we looked at last night, 2 Corinthians 5:20 to 21, 3:20. God made him who had no sin to be sin for us, so that in him we might be the righteousness of God. In Christ.
Yes. We have that opportunity to make choices I mean, it wasn't a miraculous, it really, in Christ in the desert, it wasn't a miraculous coming down, you know what I'm saying, and Jesus wasn't sprinkled, you know what I'm saying, with, some kind of holy water that automatically made him immune from making decisions in regard to doing that or just doing this, which one was a sin and one was righteousness. There was no miraculous thing there. That was a man in him that made those decisions to follow God, correct? To follow that God in that way for these 40 days without sin, tempted by the devil in every step of the way for hunger and thirst and power and glory on earth, and he rejected the devil. If
you've ever been close to someone or been through Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous, in many of those disciplines, there's the understanding of today is the day. I've got to make a choice not to drink today. Today I will not. I'm not going to worry about next week or next month or next year. Right now, I am going to do what will help me. And I think that's what Jesus. Jesus, although he's perfectly tempted, as you said, in every way just as you are. And yet every day he got up and said, today I'm going to do what's right. And he was able to say in Matthew, it says, Jesus always did the things that pleased his Father. And that's why he was perfect. Because his Father's God. And he always honors God. That's a complicated thing. I'm not looking at it, I'm going to do that. Kill it in half. I'm with Grace. I'm going with Grace. Life is complicated, and we're going to see things a little differently. We're going to do things a little differently. But the important thing is, what do I believe before God, and how do I live a life that is congruent before God? And Jesus did, and because of who Jesus was, Jesus always was well. He was different than us. We're going to make some bad decisions, thinking they were good decisions. But if we do them from the right heart, from the right motive, don't try to be wrong. Remember when spending 40 days in the wilderness, he was stronger coming out probably than he was. Of course. And then every day
in the man's form.
And every day further, as he walked through this earth, and he faced a lot of opposition and a lot of difficulty. And every day is the right thing.
We all know. Well, I don't know if we all know, but maybe.
Yes.
And, wow. It is amazing to me what becomes out of a lot of those individuals that have years of self-discipline.
Yes.
You know, and have changed not only their lives, but a whole lot of other people's lives around them by simply not at this given time will I do this. And it caused different personalities, but it caused a spirit of, you know, achievement, or not necessarily achievement, but on everybody around them.
Yes.
Has been better once they've known them and once they broke this addiction. Everybody that's around them becomes better or watching.
You will hardly find a great person, male or female, who hasn't suffered and hasn't overcome. You know, the person who likes this disease and they just kind of swan through it, typically goes to the mountains with life. But you study the lives of people who really become great and they've overcome. Sometimes horrendous. The good news of the gospel is no matter where you are, no matter how broken you are, Jesus came. You might have life to get to the full. He will give you strength as you turn to Him. And the very thing that is weighing you down might be the thing that gives you a platform upon which to stand and be a blessing. There's no one, regardless of how bad your life is right now, God cannot bring absolute gold, right? In the best sense. And that's true in the United States, it's true in Russia, it's true in the Ukraine, it's true in Afghanistan. God doesn't depend on your being in a good situation to lead you into saint. And by saint, I'm not talking sanctimonious, but I'm talking a powerful, incredible person that people look at and say, if I could only be like that.
Yeah, well,
Well, we're going to take a little break here, okay? And then we're going to come back and pray for the Ukrainians and all of us.
Yeah.
You know, what we need to do and how we get there.
Well, and you know, everybody, and including the people that are trusted.
and then maybe the most.
I don't know. You know, the decisions that are being made, and
Facebook Live and this is going to bring this back home to us and tell us what's going on this weekend where we can maybe share some fellowship and share our freedoms and get together in a fellowship mode with the people in Ukraine on our minds and celebrate our freedom.
Absolutely. Next time, Tuesday and Saturday, time is 44, Sunday, March 6th. They'll be serving from 11 until 1:30 p.m. Country are available. Adults are $12, children 6 to 11 and $5, and 5 and under is free. Now looking at center is having a carry-out or dine-in quarantine service dinner Sunday, March 13th. We'll have serving at 10:30, and that'll be $11 a plate. And there's a fundraiser for fees for those local people that are meal program.
When the fundraiser for their just
Yes.
That's an annual event, kind of that they have, but yes, because we've had them on before.
The Oakland Club is having a BB gun shoot Sunday, March 6th, starting at 1 o'clock. Open to all members and qualified guests. There will be one food available. That's at Food Spot.
You're going to take your BB gun? The dog got a BB gun.
She does have a BB gun. She has 3 guns already. She's not even a year old.
Let's celebrate that freedom.
There's a fish and shrimp fry, a drive-through only, Friday, March 4th, starting from 4 until 6:30. Drive-through parking lot. Order one pickup at the Immaculate Conception Catholic Church in Owensville. We'll also be doing it on Friday, March 11th, April 26th, and April 1st.
That's always a good night out, and I'm always amazed at how many people are in line there, you know what I'm saying, when they have those, and, you know, it's a place where you can go get your dinner, take it home to your family, and enjoy your family.
This Friday night at the White Mule, we will have steak, shrimp, pizza, and salmon from 5 until 8:30. Saturday, we'll have pizza, wings, and hamburgers from 8 until 5, and then steaks after that. Sunday, white meat, 25 chicken and roast beef from 11 until 3:30. And we will have a drink option every Friday.
Every Friday at the White Mule, so if you're giving up meat or Lent on a day or two, they can always consider us, but there is always a lot of other fish opportunities out there on Friday and Saturday. We'll be doing the days on a continual basis. I think most people are getting where that has been left for them. Just so they know, we plan on being open every Saturday all summer. You know, weddings are not with kind of parades and things around here. So we'll be open every Friday, Saturday, and you know, Sunday for food. Afterwards.
Yep. No comment.
And during the Lenten season, find a church that has a Lenten service at St. James Charlotte. We have at 6 o'clock there's food, and then at 7 we'll do a service from 7 to 7:30. So you're always invited there.
And I appreciate it. It is from 7 to 7:30. It's really great class. We got a few minutes left now. So you want to make it quick? Yeah, send us in the right direction on prayer. We need to finish. You know what I'm saying? On a continual basis on reaching out to God.
Well, let us pray.
Oh, gracious God, Almighty Father,
We thank you that you come to us and you offer us hope. You bring freedom, even to the captive. You bring grace and mercy to lives that are not deserving our lives. And we thank you and we praise you for that. And we pray especially for those who are suffering circumstances of war and terror. Lift up. We pray these people. We pray your mercy upon them. May they have strength. I pray for those in fear that they might look to you and find peace and wholeness and direction. Father, we pray for those who are brain ill. Lord, we pray that you would, through your mercy, bring them to a place of repentance. They might turn away from killing, stealing, and destroying. They might repent and fall on their knees before you and be transformed. Father, we pray for those who are suffering all kinds of hardships for the choices that are made by the governments around us. Lord, in the midst of loss, in the midst of constraint, may your word not be constrained, and may your curve be poured out. And then as you feed, Father, we pray especially for those who belong to you, who call upon the name of Jesus, who are persecuted for that faith. We pray that you give them strength and power, peace. And may the light of your love shine through them in such a way that many will see and turn to you. Oh God, help us to live in a way that honors you in a complicated world. We pray in Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Dan, thank you. Thank you for being here today. I appreciate our discussion. Thank you for being along with us today on KTUI. It's going to take a lot of prayer between now and Easter, and hopefully we will see some resolve, but matter of fact, God will be with us no matter what. Yes. So rest assured, and we will be back with you next week, tomorrow morning. So have a great week. Thank you.
Imagine a generation.
A generation of respect.
Of acceptance. Of diversity.
A generation that leads together.
A generation that learns together.
A generation that plays together.
This is our generation.
Special Olympics athletes are leading a revolution.